On this Workers' Day, I have some considerations for you. One is an outburst, the other is a word from God to the worker. Let's go with the outburst first, right? You should know that today the minimum wage had a net increase, an exceptional increase of 18 reais. The worker will receive an increase of 18 reais to the minimum wage, from 1,302 reais to a great 1,320 reais. Everybody knows that this is a joke, but what nobody talks about is the other side of the story. I'm sure that the government would even like to give a more significant increase to the worker, but the government knows that it would simply damage the economy in the country even more. Why? How will the business owner give an even higher salary to their employees when the government takes from them 2 or even 3 times the cost of their salary? That is, the employee costs a boss 2 or even 3 times the value of their salary. And those who own businesses know what I'm talking about. Let's say that you are an employee that receives 5,000 reais, you take home 5,000 reais. But your cost to the company, when it adds all the taxes, pension, bonuses, holidays, all the benefits, and many other taxes that the government takes it out, and this and that, the boss has to pay 15,000 reais in total as the employee's cost. So the employees take 5, the government takes 10, 7, and the boss, how can he pay the employee even more? Because more he pays to the employee, more he pays for the government. This is a story no one talks about, and the government still wants to increase taxes even more. How will employers employ more people if the employers have to keep on paying taxes and more taxes? And it's not only that, this 5,000 that the workers take home, that has been already 100% being taxed of it, when they go to the fuel pump, they have to pay even more taxes. Out of the 5,000 that the workers have taken, 10,000 the government has already taken, the government will take even more from the workers at the supermarket, at the petrol station, taxes over food and everything that the worker buys. So I will tell you, it's an ungrateful thing. It's made to not work. This is my first outburst. If you want a solution, try not to vote for governments that will raise taxes in the next elections. At least think about it. Now let's go to the other side of this story. Let's go to the Word of God, which is what matters to you, that can really change your life, that you have the control to do something about it. Psalm 128, which is the Psalm of the worker, is a psalm that every worker who wants to learn from the ways of God must meditate on and practice naturally. It says the following about the man who fears God. He starts giving the secret for the worker to win. He says the following: blessed is everyone who fears the Lord, which means who respects, considers, who aims to please Him, who walks in His ways. When you eat of the labor of your hands, when it says you eat of the labor of your hands, it means that your work will be enough to support you and your family. Your work will provide for yourself. You will not depend on the government, depending on friends, family, or anyone. You will only count on your own hands. You eat of the labor of your hands, you shall be happy, and it shall be well with you. This is an essential point, because many people even eat from the labor of their hands, but they are not happy. There are many who have money, spend this money, but they are not happy, because they know that much of their money comes from illicit things, money that was earned in an illicit way. It's not a work that brings them pleasure. Many people work, but their work does not bring them pleasure or satisfaction. But the Word of God says that the man who fears God will be happy with the labor of their hands, and it shall be well with you. Their lives go well, of course, with battles and fights. This will reflect in your house as well, because what's the point of working, having money, and getting home and having no one to enjoy? You have a mansion, but it's empty. You have a wonderful car to drive alone, to drive through the city alone. It makes no sense. So this man who fears the Lord, when he works and arrives at home tired, he arrives at home to a wife. And the woman who receives this husband at home, the one who fears God, receives the husband. You will be fruitful. As it says here, your wife shall be like a fruitful vine in the very heart of your house. Like a fruitful vine in the very heart of your house. What does this mean? Like a fruitful vine in the very heart of your house. What does this mean? It means something that is peaceful. Because if you have a vine next to your house, it means that you open the door or the window of your house, you stretch out your hand, and you grab a cluster of grapes. What a great thing. What a privilege. You don't need to go to the field to get the grapes. It's just by your house. What a convenience. I say that a great marriage, a good marriage, is one of the greatest things one may have. Because for you to have a wife who takes care of you, a husband who takes care of you, who considers you, who's concerned with what you eat, what you're wearing, if you went to the doctor, how your health is, they take care of you. Look, it's one of the greatest things that there is. And more is becoming greater. Because it's becoming rare. Nobody wants to take care of anyone. The husband does not want to take care of the wife of the husband. Is becoming a war, this marriage matter. Because those who fear God, they have this facility, and thanks God I have. And it has nothing to do with money. It has nothing to do with wealth, because there's many wealthy people who are divorced for 3-5 times. They only have money. They have nobody. They arrive in the house, there's nobody there. There are many rich people who live in the office of the company. There's no reason for them to go home. They're a slave of their job. They're very rich, billionaires, but they live in the company's office. They are a slave. But the man who fears the Lord, he says, your wife shall be like a fruitful vine in the very heart of your house, your children like olive plants all around your table. Behold, thus shall the man be blessed who fears the Lord, which means it's a gift from God that man may provide to themselves, to not be dependent on anyone, that they may eat the fruit of the work of their hands. You who fear God. I speak to you, man, woman, who fear God, that you may learn that God gave you gifts, talents, for you to work and provide for yourself, for you to not be dependent on the help of anyone. Believe in your potential, on your talents, skills, invest on yourself, work for yourself, because as long as you work for other people, you will only be able to expect a salary. Unless you have a very safe job and a great salary, you won't have much in this life. Work for yourself. Produce that what God put in you for you to create and serve, for you to develop your talent. Think as the head, not as the tail. Think as an entrepreneur and not just as an employee who clocks in and clocks out and will go home with the salary, spend it all before the next payday. So it's a gift of God that man may enjoy the good of all his labor. Work for God, for those who fear Him, is something that brings pleasure, joy. Tiredness to the body arrives at home tired at the end of the day, but the mind is satisfied. Work for the man who fears God brings satisfaction to the mind and also to the pockets. Don't forget that. But to the one who does not fear God, who does not serve, does not follow the rules of God, work, it's like slavery. It only brings money. But with money, it comes bitterness, sorrow. With money comes problems. At times, the destruction of the family is at work, that the man betrays the woman betrays the man. Is with this work that many times the person ends up destroying their own family, get involved with the wrong things like addictions, because they work without the fear of the Lord. So think on this day. Reflect on the labor of your hands. How have you been working? Have you been working to serve your money or to serve God, the true God, who takes pleasure on making the worker prosperous, happy, and blessed in his own home? If today's video helped you and you know someone that could benefit from it, share it with them, and if you haven't subscribed to the channel, you may do so now. See you later.